Good?
Yep.
All right. Hi, everybody out there. Here we are at the Don't Shoot the Messenger .club. One word. And we have our special guest today. We have my dog, Ammo. If anyone has any questions for Ammo, and we also have Dominic. And so anyway, our exciting subjects today, and we're here to give you information that mainstream media doesn't, because as I said before, 300 media companies, there's only 6 now. That's Ammo saying he doesn't want to listen to the show. So anyway, what's going on with the today, we want to first really start with Kamala Harris. And her comments today were unbelievable. And you've heard us speak about the Federal Reserve. And I have Dominic here, and he's going to read a little about what she said about the Federal Reserve. And then I'm going to comment on it. And you people better start, listening to what people are saying and really take understanding what this all means. Okay, we have Dominic here. Read the major portion of what the comments she made today.
So her exact words about what it is she says the central bank is a independent entity, and she would respect the reserve's independence. And basically says she's going to respect the Federal Reserve independence. And what that all means is that she's got the vote now of all the banks. Because if we've spoken to you in the past, most people think the Federal Reserve is part of the federal government. But the Federal Reserve really impacts your life. Every day, are we going to have an interest rate cut, this, and that? Those decisions and the $35 trillion deficit, the $7.6 trillion on their balance sheet for the Federal Reserve, that's $42 trillion. If someone asks Brian, do you think they're doing a good job? I go, doesn't sound like it to me. And she doesn't want to have any comments on what's going on in the banking industry. This is nuts. So let me give you an example. The Federal Reserve, as I've said to you before, they have 300 economists and PhDs. There's 6 central banks. Wait a minute, who are they owned by? Oh, the banking industry. And just remember in the 220, when that started collapsing, 2 of the Federal Reserve presidents were caught for insider trading. Wait. It's not, they weren't caught for insider trading. It was legal for them, just like Congress. So this is really disturbing when you have someone running for president and that person they're going to leave him independent. Well, I'm sure J.P. Morgan and all these companies that own the Federal Reserve are ecstatic. Now, you got to admit, the Federal Reserve, if we look at the history of what kind of job they did, we got to go back to all the way, really, to the Titanic. And the Titanic was J.P. Morgan, as we all remember. And he was always supporting the market with his own money when they had collapses. So he wanted the Federal Reserve, so they would take up and put the money into the system when it was collapsing. So when you look at J.P. Morgan, who was the Titanic, what happened to the Titanic? Well, it's the same thing happening with America. We were partying, the American Titanic, we're partying as we sink. So what does this mean? Well, this means that J.P. Morgan, when he canceled the day when they were supposed to leave France with him, he warned his buddy, Hershey, from Hershey Chocolate. He canceled that day. Yeah, that's really amazing. But 3 people, according to this report we have, it's called a Titanic conspiracy. The theory, did J.P. Morgan cause the sinking? Now, first of all, we have to do, they claim there's 3 people on the Titanic that were against the Federal Reserve. And we'll talk about how well they've done in a second. But it's called a Titanic conspiracy theory, the article, and there's a book on it. And my associate here, he's going to put on what the definition of conspiracy is. So why don't you read the definition of conspiracy so we, or can we even hear you over there?
Definition of conspiracy is a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful.
Yeah. And who's that by with the definition?
This is Oxford.
Okay. Which Wikipedia's definition or
Wikipedia.
Webster Dictionary? What it is people's conception of conspiracy. They think it's just something people make up and drive a narrative.
Yeah, it's an agreement between two or more people to commit an illegal act.
Yes, that's what conspiracy means. So when we look at the Kennedy assassination and what's happened with it's called if you watch Netflix, you can watch what happened to the writer who was who was an author, a journalist too, and how it's called Conspiracy Octopus or American Conspiracy Octopus. And his name is what?
Danny Casolaro.
Yes, and he was getting into a lot of interesting things inside the federal government. And he died of suicide. And he died with, they claimed, 8 cuts on one arm, 4 on the other by the wrist. Each one of them would have severed the artery or the tendon that your wrist works on. So that means that, wait a minute, he couldn't do that. You know, wow, that's amazing, isn't it? That's impossible because each slice would have sliced the tendon, so he couldn't do his one arm 8 times, the other 4. Isn't that amazing? No one ever talks about it anymore. Oh, it's just like the Epstein. So people out there, and I'm giving you this information so you don't feel like you're by yourself, but people now are really starting to question what our government happens in our own government. And, you know, I'm here on the front lines. You know, when you're in the Bay Area and you see what goes on, you go, wow, you got Kamala running for president. You know, I met her boyfriend at the time. You know, his name was Brown, Willie Brown, really charismatic person. You know, they're probably a lovely couple. Oh, that's right. He was married. But no, that's okay. You know, her and Gavin Newsom are best buddies too. Good old Gavin, what he did, he had an affair with his best friend's wife. Crammed it was alcohol. He was going to go rehabilitation. Never did. His name is Gavin. Oh, sorry. It got by me there for a minute. Anyway, we're going back to this, and I just wanted to really inform you that the Federal Reserve, if you look at their track record, and she doesn't want to get involved or really oversee it, it shows you how dangerous our government is. You have a banking committee with 8 people on it. They're as confused as anybody because they're all getting paid off. And so you go, what do you mean paid off? Well, this is legalized bribes that I'm going to show you in a minute. But when you go back and you check the history of the Federal Reserve, I think they've done a great job. Don't you, Dominic? They did a great job causing the Depression.
Yeah.
Wow, they did a really good job. Wow. What took us out of the Depression? Oh, that's right. World War II. But you know what they did? They did a tremendous job afterwards. We had horrible inflation in the 60s and 70s. My parents really suffered from the inflation part. Oh, wait a minute. We had a 1987 when I worked on Wall Street, and I was with Drexel Burnham Lambert. So I can speak on experience. I saw the market fall 500 points. Well, today that would be nothing, but it was horrific those days when the stock market was very, very priced, and I'd have to check to see what exactly it was. But that's when Ronald Reagan started what's called the Plunge Protection Team. And I think people, you better pay attention when I'm going to show you about the Plunge Protection Team and how it was set up. And we're gonna go over that in a minute. But first, I want to show you just a case of bribery. So we're going to show you, and I'll show you too, that Janet Yellen got $7.2 million of speaking fees over a 2-year period. Was that 2.7 or 2.3?
7.26.
So 7.26. Wow, 7,000,026 over a 2-year period. Wow, that's amazing. One of the things I believe she said that she wouldn't speak outdoors. Someone's got to tell me if she's ever been outdoors. She's from the Bay Area here, and I can understand that. And I've had to have basal cells removed. So I don't think she'll need that. Anyway, Why don't you tell us who some of those contributors were? Now, this is how you pay off people with bribery. All right, go ahead.
Citi paid for 9 speeches, it says.
Citibank, Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, it's Goldman Sachs, Salesforce.
Salesforce. Oh, that's you know who's buddies with him. That's Newsom's one of his.
Yeah, she also earned speaking fees from Magellan
Funds.
Yeah,
wow.
They're in Australia.
Yeah.
So nothing to do with.
But the investment banking firms were. So we had all these investment banking firms. J.P. Morgan give her any money? That's Citibank.
Yeah.
So anyway,
and
that's how you do legalized bribery, or you do a book deal, and you get paid $65 million up front. Wait, who was that? That was Obama. I'm sure it was well deserved, and he deserved it. But don't think I'm political. I'm non-binary when it comes to politics. I think both parties are crooked. And I think, Donald Trump, I sometimes wonder what he's thinking, because it sure doesn't sound like he's putting much time into it. I just wonder how many people out there golfed at his golf courses. One thing about Donald Trump is, I remember when he ran first time, he said, Obama golfed too much. If I'm president, I'll be too busy golfing. He golfed more in his 4 years than Obama did in his 8, and they all stayed at his club and his facilities. So, wow, isn't it amazing how politics works? This is how these people make money. The Pelosi's, they trade on insider information. Nothing wrong with that. I met Paul at the gym, at the gym I go to. It was called Ambassador Health Club in San Francisco on Market Street. Paul was a nice guy, You do think Paul wants to see his wife elected? Just, look at poor Paul. I mean, you've seen Nancy Pelosi. I mean, it looks like she's been electrocuted. Anyway, we're going to go into now, and we're going to talk about the subjects. And this one, again, is the Federal Reserve. And we've already gone over that. And people, you better wake up. And, I don't know if you know this, but I'm looking now with Dominic, but Dominic's going to be moving. But I want to change the California flag. And I want to change it to more reflecting on what we've become, because we're not a bear anymore. And I think Dominic's putting it on the screen now. What is it, Dominic?
It's the the California flag.
Yeah, what are we changing it?
We've replaced the bear with a sheep.
Yes, we're changing the bear with a sheep, because that's all they do is follow each other. And you know what? And two, they don't understand too, because most of you people don't understand what's happening to sheep in California too. The coyotes are getting them all the time. And that's how it's happening to the people here. The sheep are just going bah, bah, and just wandering along. And here comes the coyotes. Oh, yes, our great leader, Gavin. So anybody, if you want to see what socialist communism is like, come to California. We have a one-party system. It is around San Francisco. And to really be a good politician, I want to show you this article that appeared recently, because Gavin Newsom, one thing about that poor man, the poor guy. His father was 32, his mother was 19. Mentioned this on the previous show. He never had male influence. If you asked Gavin what he'd rather do, go shopping, get his fingernails done, or go shooting, I know what he's going to do. His first two selections are going to be fingernails and shopping. So poor Gavin, the female influence. We have a picture of Gavin when he was in high school, and then he was voted at that period of time. What was he voted? Most stylish. Jeez. I went to the same high school as him. We didn't have that. They must put that because when Gavin got there. But I've talked to people that went to school with Gavin. The amazing thing is, a lot of the girls wanted to date him, but he was always gone after school. He had a briefcase, you know, and this and that. Was all this pre-planned? You know, here's something I'd love to ask him on an interview, but he'll never do one with me. Is like, why was your father hanging out with a Nazi? You know, when he should be home taking care of you guys. You know, the poor Gavin, you know. Anyway, we really need to talk about the state of California and how we have a nice picture of Gavin now. We're going to show you one when he was voted most stylish, and then we're going to show you one recently. And what's this one on? We're going to show him about how, what did he pay, $200,000 a year for what?
Yeah, his photographer. You want a picture of him in his sunglasses, right?
Yeah, but you have the professional photographer. He's $200,000 a year, yeah. and who's he represent?
Who pays for that?
No, who does he represent in the past? The famous photographer, all the people.
Oh yes, yeah. He's been a photographer for Zuckerberg.
Yeah, well,
Barack Obama, your buddy.
Yeah,
and, yeah. Those are his two top clients he's ever.
Wow, isn't that amazing? $200,000 a year. Wow. I wonder. Yeah, who does pay for that? So we have a picture of him with the leader of China. We're going to put on there for you. You know, look at. You know, I want you to really. You know, you can tell he's very stylish with his legs crossed. You know, I think he's trying to appeal to, I don't know what voter on that one, but he was there for talking to him about green energy. And you say to yourself, wow, China really cares about green energy or green technology. He did that. Who paid for all that? Oh, wait a minute. I'll bet the people of California. We also got a picture of him on the wall, you know, where he's posing, you know that? Wait a minute. He was supposed to be talking about going over there in green technology. He's on the wall. Wow. And then guess what? We got a picture of him cleaning up garbage too, down in the LA area with his, he's trying to imitate now. He's trying to be like the great Biden wearing aviator's glasses. And, you know, he's got a professional photographer with him. Give him credit, you know. He does know how to do it. He's very stylish, you know that? So what we're going to do is today too, we're going to show you what the word there's masculine means too. So, you know, someone says to me, and people it's going to need to stop picking on people that are in the baby boom generation, because we grew up with testosterone twice what the testosterone of the children of today have. And what happens is we believe more in the masculine approach to things. And now what's the definition of masculine?
Having qualities or appearance traditionally associated with men or boys.
Yes. So that means we're protectors. So, you know, again, you know, if you'd like, I'll bring on some people on the show maybe. And, you know, people say things about me, but people don't know me. But, yeah, we'll bring on a 76-year-old man who was attacked and I stepped in. Or my neighbor who was so terrified I had to go up to the city hall with her against these people that were making threats against her, a man from Australia, and she was terrified. Wait a minute. I should be like everybody else and use the famous words. I don't want to get involved. That's what everybody loves now. I don't want to get involved. There was an attack at our park here, a dog park. You know, 2 people got involved. 28 said they didn't want to get involved. Oh, that's right. This guy was a big supporter of Biden. I raised $750,000 for Biden, and he used Kamala's law firm. Oh, wow. He started off with the felony or misdemeanor. I forgot what it was, but I was there. Oh, wait a minute. I was the one that stopped it. And anyway, to make a long story short, is that after 2 years, he got off with anger management. Wow. Isn't that amazing? Wow, what a society we are. You know, everybody sees now our legal system and lawyers, and whoever puts on the best show, it seems to win. I mean, Trump did that too. He puts on all these shows, but wait a minute, he hasn't done too well in court lately. Anyway, my show is to the people, and this show, we're not looking for the mass. We're trying to appeal to people that really want to have an understanding of what's going on, and that there is somebody controlling everything behind the scenes, like the deep state. The crook, what was Cook's first name? Thomas Cook. Crook? Oh, he's a crook anyway. So anyway, he had a SAT score of 1,500. We'll show that. That gets him in all schools like Yale and Harvard. But then again, if you look at Snowden, and what was the name of the person on that show, the Italian guy who was the one? Cascalero? Yeah, but he was the one who got killed. Who was another loner that was a genius? He went to Stanford. They mentioned him in the movie, the show. Anyway, is this what this is? Are they being recruited like Snowden said? They go over for these really bright people. I mean, yeah, the Unabomber too. But it's really strange, like Snowden said. Snowden never went to finish even high school, and he was working with top secret security. And what happens is they get these really highly intelligent people, and it sounds to me, and again, it sounds that, their CIA is involved with these people and bringing them in. And so, can I prove that? I don't know, but I do know that CIA was always looking for the Manchurian candidate. And I also know, too, that told from a really reliable source, it was a SEAL Team 6, he said the CIA studies the Bible, so they always like to make correlations between the two. Anyway, getting back to the subject, here's a book here that was written about kids that go to Tam High School, and I put it here for you because a lot of people, I don't know if you realize, there was 2 Tamalpais high school students that went to Italy. They had a big knife set over there. I can show you what the knife looked like one of these days. It was like, I think, 12-inch blade and everything. They went over to Italy. They needed some drugs, like most kids do these days. And a drug deal went bad. And then the police were doing an undercover sting, and one of them stabbed one of the police to death. And those people now are in jail in Italy. And they're just youth from this county. And you think with people here and the way it is, you'd be going, whoa. But there's a lot of things we can talk about, but I want to stay focused on what's really important today. So we've already done now the Kamala, and now we're going to move on to some of the others. You saw Janet Yellen, you got to admit, you got to get jobs. Like, look at Mnuchin, who worked for Trump. Look at how many billions he's made since. Oh, by the way, the Federal Reserve created all these billionaires because they were supposed to have a balanced budget amendment after they did the 2008 crisis. The government would always just go, they couldn't balance the budget, so what they did is they just eliminated it for that year, and then they just finally eliminated it completely. Isn't that great? What's a balanced budget? And this is what our great Kamala wants to do. She wants to have no oversight or let them do what they want. But they already have been. So we're all going to pay for it shortly. Now, for people's homework tonight, if anybody wants to even just verify what I'm saying, look how the BRIC systems now and how they're growing. Now they're getting Venezuela as one of their people participating. So we've already talked about the BRIC system before, so I'm not going to go over it again, but they're now capturing. Some people say what I read something today, almost 60% of transitions aren't being done with the dollar anymore. And then no one talks about the BRICS because they don't want you in a panic. And I'm not here to put you in a panic. I'm just letting you know. But here's the other thing, is the euro dollar. I mean, the euro dollar was canceled June 10th. And again, no one's talking about it. Well, everything used to be done on a worldwide basis was the United States currency held in reserve for buying of oil. The Arab immigrants now have joined even BRIC system too. So 80% of the world now is looking to get away from the dollar. And maybe this is why people, the rates now are high. So on a treasury, you can get 5% in a treasury fund, and that's federally insured. Dominic here will show you something about how much is basically uninsured in bank accounts, over $7 trillion. So when you're in this system today, you have to follow where the money goes. Now, and we need Gavin. We need Gavin to tell us where he's putting his money, because what happened was with Silicon Valley Bank, he went there and met with people and used his influence to get the FDIC to insure all accounts. And that means the people that he had his business, I was told, and I have an article in here we'll put up, but yeah, he had FDIC came in and insured everything. And the bad thing about it too is that there's banking systems ready to implode right now. So look what Gavin's doing. Ask Gavin, see if he'll go to represent your bank and meet with people and save like Silicon Valley Bank. And they're poorly run, It's just like the state. The state's poorly run. Gavin Newsom will never meet what we call is the masculine role, because you have to be able to, if you want to join the masculine role, you have to be able to get ready in the morning between 7 and 10 minutes max. And you get a reprieve to 30 minutes if it's a tux. So these guys were putting on perfume and doing everything. They had taken their testosterone down, maybe having some soy protein in the morning with heavy in estrogen. And maybe the feminization, the women have won because they look at men that are masculine now, and they're just as masculine too, because they're heavy in estrogen. So, I got a call. Look at that. I hardly get calls. Who would want to talk to me? Anyway, I just want to, we're going to take a break now, and we'll get back to you. And we got a little more information for you. And thank you. All right, we're back here, and now we're going to go, and I have my associate here. We're going to read a few lines from articles written about how people might have construed what Gavin did at the Silicon Valley Bank. And again, remember, the FDIC came and saved that one, First Republic, who I dealt with. And, we're coming into rainy season this year, and I haven't got any places to get umbrellas anymore, because First Republic would give me my umbrellas, and they give me special containers for coffee. Oh God, they had so many things. I miss First Republic. God, no wonder they went broke. Anyway, here's my show. It's talking about Silicon Valley Bank, where the president of the company was selling 3.6 million of the stock before the news was announced. I wonder if he knew something. Have you ever noticed people never tell you before they buy the stocks? They only tell you afterwards. And here he is. I'm going to tell you, read a couple of these quotes here from the article about some people would perceive this was illegal, what he did. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the CEO sold the $3.6 million of shares, and then I guess the thing I should note from this article first is as an elected official, Gavin Newsom is prohibited by state law from influencing a government decision in which the official knows or has reason to believe the official has a financial interest. And after hearing that, it's important to note that 3 wineries owned by Gavin Newsom are clients of Silicon Valley Bank. And he's maintained personal accounts at the institution for years. So Cade, Odette, and Plumpjack are clients, and Gavin himself is a client there.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? That's why you got to have someone in your family if you want to be a criminal and you get away with it, because these people can get away with it. First of all, as we talked about before, you have to be investment banking, a politician. You've got to be legalized drugs, too. I mean, these are all ways you can do things and be a lobbyist lawyer, and there's ways you do things where you can get away without being caught. Now, wait a minute, there's no oversight in government anymore. So you can do basically whatever you want because there's no repercussions. The only dumb ones are the ones like New Jersey with Mendez when he gets caught with $100 bills, and then he also gets caught with gold bars. I guess I heard they had serial numbers on them, and they were stolen. Now, that's a rocket scientist. That's the kind of guy you want in government because you know what? They're all, when you look at people in government today on both sides of the party, wow, all they know how to do is fight against each other. And then, you know what? I used to think, wow, that's like democracy. It's not democracy. They do that because you have to divide to conquer. So they understand what's happening with this economy and how it's going to fail. And you got to start waking up again. And now we're going to move on from the great Gavin because we're going to dedicate a whole program to him. You know that? I mean, read about Adderall with the great Trump, and then look at how the actions of Mr. Newsom, you know. Is Mr. Newsom on Adderall? I bet you he is. He talks about his dyslexic. Well, I'm dyslexic. Wait, he's ADHD too if you watch it. Oh, here's an interesting thing too. Yeah, I guess he has 5 nannies. He's moving back to Ross, California, because his wife, I'm sure, can't stand where they lived up in the Sacramento area. You know, they did have a wine cave. They had a tennis court. They had a swimming pool on 8 acres. We got some pictures we'll show you. But boy, Ross, they're moving back to Daddy's place. Daddy Siebel, who's a really nice man. Well, he was smart. He moved to Miami. And wait a minute. This is so you people understand. Oh, Gavin's not sending his kids to a public school. Do you think he would do something like that? They're going to go, one of the daughters is going to go to his high school, and guess what? It costs $60,000 a year. $60,000 a year. Branson. Wait a minute. I'll bet they're not being pressured in that Ross area to put all this dense housing in for homeless, or not homeless, for low-income housing. Oh, I got to check this one out. This is exciting. Because you know what? There is no local journalism anymore. Someone's got to put these people, make them accountable. I can't do it by myself. People better start either contacting us. We better start organizing because things are going to happen before the end of the year. And I'm going to have some things I'm going to show you again. So, you know, you can always say, well, I don't want to get involved because that's the most popular phrase around here. And, you know, maybe I shouldn't either, because then I don't have to be masculine and be a protector. So anyway, we're going to move on now. What's our next subject? We want to talk about Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen is the owner of the Mets. And here's another guy, crime pays. You know, that's what I'm trying to tell you, crime pays. My boss at Drexel, at least he went to jail for 1.5 years and got to play tennis, Mike Milken. And he left, I think, after jail and paying his fines, he still was worth $2 billion. But me, I was a dumbass Irishman. I just played it to the end. And what did I do? I owned private stock in the company, and they took it down at the end because I believed in them. But, you know, at least he's happy. He has the Milken Institute, and he had the thing called the Predator's Ball. And I guess that was all picked up afterwards. People like Epstein. Oh, yeah, okay. Epstein died of suicide. See, this is what people think. They think they can just tell you something that was suicide, just like I've told you about the other person who was murdered by cutting his wrist. Well, and everybody seems to forget it. People aren't forgetting anymore. And they're starting to get really concerned about what's happening in this country. And they should be very well be, because you're going to have a digital currency and they're going to have total control over you pretty soon. Remember, in 1933, Roosevelt, he went around and took everyone's gold. I don't know if people realize that. And look at who did that great job? The Federal Reserve. So let's talk a little about the CHIP Act too. The CHIP Act is Taiwanese semiconductor. We're building it with our taxpayers' money for a publicly listed company. Look up their symbol, TMSC, and tell me how much it is today. And also tell me their market value. Now, Taiwan,
yeah, 172.34. It's up almost 3% today.
and it's 172.
Yeah,
All right, do you know how to look up the market capitalization of it?
yeah.
You know, who are the major shareholders of it, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, let's look at that.
So my point being is your CHIP Act is we're building for Taiwanese semiconductor because companies like Intel and all these other companies, they've been doing stock buybacks instead of looking to create and do microchips. So just so you know, all you people out there, you hear NVIDIA and Apple and everybody, well, just so you know, if China invades Taiwan, there is going to, NVIDIA won't have anybody producing their chips. So just so you realize that, NVIDIA doesn't make their chips. They're made by Taiwanese Semiconductor, a Taiwan company, Chinese-Taiwan company. And then you look, and then you think to yourself, wow, that's pretty scary. Well, Apple computer is tied, or Apple phones are all tied. Phones are tied to the microchip. And no one else, I talked to a friend I know at MIT, and he told me they weren't able to, they've tried to, how do you say it, copy or re-engineer and build what they have in Taiwan. They can't do it. So anybody that thinks we care about the sovereign nation of Taiwan, it's never about sovereignty of a country. You know, we look at Vietnam now too. They just have a new communist leader. Oh, wait. Who's their largest trading partner? Oh, the United States. I remember when I was young, you never supposed to deal with a communist nation. And then a friend of mine, or was a friend, yeah, he's sort of an asshole. He was with Goldman. He made a fortune and started his own fund. And he made a fortune in China, using American capital, of course. But Taiwanese Semiconductor, how much is the capitalization? Who's the owners again?
The top owners are Fidelity,
Yeah.
Capital World Investors, JP Morgan, and Fisher Asset Management.
Wow, isn't that amazing? Isn't that really amazing? They're owned by American companies, a lot of it. They're the major shareholders. Just like I said on my previous show, is that all the companies are owned and have majorly have BlackRock, Vanguard. These are other funds. But Vanguard and BlackRock, they own the majority of all the, they own the voting rights because everyone's passive investors. So anyway, to make a long story short, is that,
Yeah, it's
what, are you going to interject something there?
Yeah, 750 billion is their market cap.
So they have a 750 billion market cap. Wow. And we as taxpayers of America are going to build this company for their shareholders and the owners of the Taiwanese company. Isn't that nice? You shareholders are going to pay billions. How many billions are we going to be paying for building their chip factory for them? Wait a minute. What happened to Intel and all the other semiconductors? They were doing stock buybacks. $25 billion for Intel. Wait, what is that worth? Well,
40 billion.
Pardon me?
40 billion.
Oh, excuse me. It was $40 billion in stock buybacks instead of expansion.
No,
but guess who's getting $8 billion on this CHIP Act?
No.
What?
The plant is going to cost 40 billion.
Oh, excuse me. He said the plant's going to be cost $40 billion. What did Intel buy in stock buybacks?
Oh yeah,
I think that was $25 billion or something.
Something like that.
Instead, and this is what it do, they all have options to buy the stock. So when you do stock buybacks, you're buying the stock and reducing the shares outstanding. So they have all this extra capital. And instead of using it for expansion, they're using it to buy stocks back. So all the options for the top executives make billions. This is how you're creating billionaires. You know, only the Federal Reserve. This is Kamala's gang. They're the ones that are creating the with her comments with the Federal Reserve. Oh, by the way, Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, he was nominated by, who do you think? Oh, that's right, Trump. Wow, isn't that amazing? And Trump now says he wanted to get rid of the Federal Reserve or something, and he nominated him. Well, I can't figure out anything anymore. Oh, that's right. They're all in cahoots together, and they want us fighting against each other so they can do whatever they want. Do you have the number for Intel's buyback?
It's over 125 billion over the past 35 years.
105 billion?
125 billion.
125 billion over the last 20 years. And I believe Apple's doing
actually,
it.
no, sorry, 152 billion over the last 35 years.
All right, 152 billion over the last
35 years.
35 years. Wow. Huh. And we're paying for we're paying for this, just so you know. Guess who's going to be the beneficiary too? NVIDIA. Apple Computer. Wait, Apple's spending $200 billion, isn't it, for stock buybacks now? And all this does is benefit. Matter of fact, stock buybacks after the Depression, most people thought it was stock manipulation. We can go over articles on that. Oh, right. It's like the Glass-Steagall Act when they get allowed investment banks and merchant banks to merge. These were all put in provisions during the after the Depression and before the Depression. And it was created by the Federal Reserve. Isn't it amazing how just fantastic these people are? So here, I got a couple things, and we're going to read a couple things why stock buybacks should be illegal. And then we'll put an article on that for you. And here, just give we don't have to read the whole thing. Again, we're just trying to wake everybody up. And then we're going to almost over here, so you don't fall asleep on us yet. And then we're going to have one on Steve Cohen, because we got to give Steve Cohen. He deserves it. He was with Goldman. Everybody's who makes billions and gets away with it. And, you know, you got to pull up Leon Black for him, too, from the Global Fund. Yeah, Leon Black, he paid $158 million to the great Epstein as an advisor. Or accounting advisor?
Yeah, he paid Epstein for advice on accounting.
Wow. Guess what he does now? Does anybody believe that? Does anybody really believe that he paid Epstein $158 billion? I mean, come on. You know, who was behind all this? Boy, the pictures they must have had. I'm see, no one will say it. I'll say it to you. They have these guys with pictures of him with kids. How about the great Bill Clinton? He was a real winner. He said he never was the Epstein Island. Now he's changed it, and they have him on logs. I don't know how many times. What, 30?
27, something
27
like that.
times? Wow. Wait a minute. That's right. If you're rich and you're one of our oligarchs, wow, you don't have to worry about it. So, you know, let's talk about Steve Cohen. He was a hedge fund, too. He got caught, paid a fine, just like Citadel paid a $7 million fine for selling. They call them naked selling. But they're on both sides of the trades now because they learned during the last recession that they only got fined $7 million, probably made billions from it. You know, I just want you to get an idea, too, before we talk to Cohen, is I know people I've talked to that work for public companies, and one of them left the company and was going to another. He was being offered cash on the phone by people, and they were like hedge funds for information because they thought when he was leaving there could have been a purpose behind it just because he wanted to change jobs wasn't good enough. Another person I know owns a company, or not owns it, but runs a public company. They're constantly having people getting calls and offered money for information. So that's how your hedge funds work. You know, they also, you know, we got to talk about macroeconomics again, the chart, the Ouija board, and that's how they push the stock market up. Oh, this is the 20-day average, moving average. It bounces off this. This is a bull. You know, like PPI number came out today. Oh, inflation cooled. Oh, the stock market goes up big. Wow. People have no idea what's coming. Anyway, we're going to give you the Cohen. Then we're going to give you an MIT person's opinion on the what do you call it? The opinion, on the American voter. And then I think we'll show you about. I want to show you, at the end, we're going to show you about the difference with Budweiser in my day and Budweiser today. And I think we'll wrap it up with that. So let's go ahead and do the Ray Cohen. What was Ray's? He was Steve Cohen. Yeah, so he was a hedge fund. He was worth how much?
At the time,
Well, he had
the firm had a 33.9 billion.
$33.9 billion. Okay, and he caught for insider information. Wow, it really must have really turned his life around because he's worth a lot more than that today. What's he worth today? And he owns the Mets. Wow. So yeah, and just so you know, for everybody out there, look who's taken over this world, and I got a special coming up for you from a person that spoke at Georgetown University, and I'm going to agree with this person. The nerds have taken over. You know, your Bill Gates, all 5'10", 140 pounds of them. Well, that wouldn't make masculine. Oh, Zuckerberg, he's like 5'6". He tried MMA. Then got hurt, ended up in the hospital. And now he's building his bunker in Hawaii, and he's got his new yacht. So what does he do? Oh, he's an advertising company and sells your information to the government. Wow, that's great. And do I have a Facebook account? No. Okay, so tell us a little more about Cohen.
All right. So he himself is worth about 20 billion now.
Oh, so he's worth $20 billion. He owns the Mets, and he got caught for insider trading. How much was he fined for that? Did it show you?
It's saying he paid about a $1.8 billion fine, but I think it was less than that.
So again, it looks like he might have had to pay a $1.8 billion fine. He was like my ex-boss. I think my boss paid $1.5 billion. Right?
1.8 billion.
But it's amazing, isn't it? Isn't it amazing? It's like the Purdue family too. You know, when we talk about the pharmaceuticals, they killed many people, and then they were looking to prosecute them as a crime. Then they got a call from Rudy Giuliani, and it canceled everything. Isn't it interesting too? Well, that's scary. So anyway, you want to be a criminal and you want to make a lot of money. We're giving you the way to do it, and we also we think you need is we think Wharton Business School is one of the good schools to go to learn business, how to be OPM other people's money. You could be, I think Harvard would be good too. I believe recently the man in charge of OPM at Wharton, he came out and he thinks his name is Siegel. Is that it? I forgot his first name. And he's an amazing person. He came out and said the Federal Reserve immediately needs to drop the interest rates 0.75 of a point. That's amazing how but see, no one's supposed to have influence, huh? Wait a minute. The banks, J.P. Morgan, they own the Federal Reserve. What's his name?
Jeremy Siegel.
Yeah, Jeremy Siegel. Yeah, he's another great example. Like, he's taught these people well, you know. So, you know, this way we're talking more the banking end of things, how to be a criminal and make money. You know, and when you're all tied together and you're all sharing information and you're all using macro, meaning charts, to verify it, because on a micro basis, our price to earnings ratio is been as bad as it was during the Depression. And then if we look at micro 2 and you look at our GDP, which is gross domestic product, is let's say 3%, but our debt on the GDP is 200%. We're not going to be able to pay this money back. But don't worry, Kamala's in charge. She just said she's going to let them run it. Wow, interesting. Okay, so we've done Steve Cohen. Have I missed anything here? You know, we got so much more information, but I'm going to put on a stock buyback explain, and then there's what are the 7 reasons they shouldn't be doing stock buybacks? They used to be illegal. It's to your right hand there. See? You know. Wow, can you believe I got 2 phone calls? You know what? It's probably one of those robot callers, you know. So, what is it?
Well, this reason says they lack creativity and innovation.
Well, that doesn't, because they're spending their capital. So, but anyway, don't worry, you taxpayers, you're paying for all the new facility for all the plants. Guess what? Samsung got money too. Wait, that's a Korean company. Isn't that nice? Oh, by the way, John Deere is now moving to Mexico because they don't want to be part of ESG. And in our later shows coming up too, you could read what ESG is, or I'm going to have my co-art here tell you what ESG is, and that's spun by BlackRock. And we're going to first show you like Budweiser. Show them Budweiser with ESG was pushing them to do.
Yeah, environmental, social, and governance.
Yeah. And that's Vanguard, and that's part of BlackRock. And a lot of companies, like John Deere said, they're not going to participate in that anymore. And again, you got to wait for our generation to go, because when I grew up, things were a lot more simple. Man, women, gay people are fine too. You know, one of my best friends is gay. You know, all the people were very efficient when I worked in investment banking in San Francisco. You can't have a chip on your shoulder because of what someone's sexuality is. What you have to be worried about is what they're using science for, and what they want you to sit there and tell you that there's something wrong with you. When I was a kid, this was never around. Are we right or you right? Oh, of course, you kids today, you think you're all right, don't you? Well, that's right. All young people know everything. Okay. What was that? What I was getting, you were getting to me? I was going to get the information on the Budweiser. Do you have that up? Yeah, and now I'm going to show you. This is what I grew up. This is what Budweiser was like when I was young. And now you see what they have Budweiser today. And so we grew up as Budweiser was a working man's beer. And then I guess ESG changed it. But Bill, just remember, as I've talked about earlier, they have people like Snowden, you know, who's now in Russia, and all these young people that recruited. Well, ESG, haven't you noticed who they recruited? Haven't people? When he was at high school, no one seems to know him. He had a briefcase walking around, and he was voted. What was he voted? Oh, that's right. Oh, wait, yeah, he always told us what a great baseball player he was. And how did he get into Santa Clara? Well, we got some great stories for you coming up, because what you hear is not, and what believe, it's not what you think, you know. Anyway, we're going to move on now, and we're going to, I think we've covered just a few more. I'll bring up other ways where billions are made in the banking industry. And because, you know, all these people who are billionaires, that was just based on manipulation. And all these, it's called quantitative easing, whatever you want to say. When they just add dollars to the economy, it has to go up because everybody's got to see their stocks moving up. And now they're so overinflated, there's nothing they can do anymore. So our last subject here, before we showed the Budweiser, and then you're going to get the pictures for the great Gavin. And then now we're going to have how the people from MIT were paid $400,000 back in, what was the year? 2000, and I don't have my glasses on. Let me put them on. What? 14. And again, you notice how I save things? Because I'm astounded, or I find a lot of my research is you don't find it in mainstream media because they're only, you know, they own all the info. Like we talked about before, like the Murdoch family owns Dow Jones, Market Watch, News Report. So here it is, and I have my associate here. He's going to read a few things called The Stupidity of the American Voter, and this is 214. And I can tell you, and we paid him $400,000, and there's I just want to let you know, this is your tax money. And he spoke in front of Congress in 214. And here he is. So let's see what he hears. His name was MIT. And
yeah, professor of economics, Jonathan Gruber. Lack of transparency is a huge political advantage, and basically, you know, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. And then he says they proposed it, and that passed because the American voters are too stupid to understand the difference. And those are his words.
yeah, so You got an economics professor at MIT basically saying they were stupid, and that's how they got their Obama plan through. Well, that's how they got to the state of California does it all the time, and this is how this is how the elitists, especially the the schools like Harvard and MIT, how they perceive you. You know, this is where I live. Is if you tell someone you give them your opinion, you know what they're going to tell you? You're wrong. Isn't it amazing an opinion? They'll tell you you're wrong. One guy told me that, and he was from Cornell, and I said, you know what? It's just like an asshole. Everyone's got one. So we're going to leave it on that, and I think that we have so many things we can talk about. I don't know how much longer I'm going to do this, because if no one wants to hear the message, then there won't be any more need for a messenger. So anyway, we're going to sign off now. We wish you the best, and I hope you take a look at the MIT article we're going to publish on the website. And, you know, we're here to learn. Thank you.